and I'm a student here at McGill. More specifically, being a student of political science, this past year has been really exciting. Actually, it's a bit like having an interactive textbook with the Arab Spring, Tunisia, Bahrain, Egypt, and of course Libya. Libya in particular has been like a new 21st century page in this book of international relations. Because conflict itself hasn't changed all that much. It's even older than the concept of nation states. But the shift comes in how we address conflict, how we use resources on a global scale to mitigate war and tyranny. Libya is an extremely crucial test case because it shows that international cooperation is actually an effective tool. Largely, confidence was placed in global multilateral organizations and a process of institutions, rather than any one country or organization pursuing unilateral action, be it from the Libyan National Transitional Council, the African Union, or NATO. Even looking at post-war stabilization, unlike Iraq or Kosovo, Libya is not going to have a huge international presence, and this is going to promote an independent way forward. The National Transitional Council themselves, once they were first recognized, they were concurrently coordinating rebel fighting efforts while signing oil export deals with Qatar and looking to members of the international community like France and Portugal for legitimacy. So East and West alike, they were looking forward and thinking ahead, which is a really, really important thing and something very different. As far as the international aspect of the conflict goes, the Obama administration and the EU looked to the Security Council to give themselves legitimacy. It was the biggest indicator that the UN is still our best forum for international diplomacy on a large scale. The Security Council Resolution 1973 that was passed regarding Libya was done so with no opposition. And at the same time, Libya is really interesting because we see that regional organizations are gaining in importance and that the UN is actually listening to what they have to say. The Arab League played a huge role in arguing that force needed to be used against Gaddafi, and the African Union has stayed entrenched in the crisis from beginning to end. I mean, at the same time, the point I will concede is that the West still largely calls the shots, but the bigger picture lesson is about cooperation and patience on an international level. One of the biggest examples of this was that the Canadian Navy sent a ship to the Libyan coast, but it didn't engage for over 2 weeks. It waited, and then, once the Security Council resolution had been passed, it joined a coalition effort to implement the resolution. And the coalition itself, it's not just Canada, France, the UK, and the US. It includes 17 countries like Denmark, Qatar, Spain, and so many others. Now, a lot of people have been very critical of the international response, saying that they had ulterior motives, saying that Libya has become the West's fourth battleground, saying that it was selective implementation of the right to protect doctrine, because no military intervention was carried out in Egypt or Bahrain. My refutation is that in international relations, the purity of intention is not always a prerequisite. And geopolitics plays a serious role in any intervention. So implementation will always be selective because national and regional interests are steeped in complexity. And this applies much further than just the US or the European Union. And it's not just a matter of assessing whether force will work. It's also a matter of exhausting all the other tools that we have in this diplomatic toolbox. For example, with Bahrain, the US had other kinds of diplomatic leverage that needs to be exhausted. Another contention is that Gaddafi has committed terrible atrocities, but quite seriously, they pale in comparison to those carried out by Bashir and Mugabe, or the reasons behind why the Democratic Republic of the Congo is called the rape capital of the world. So why not comparable military action in those cases? Why here? Why do it? The reason is because it was the right thing to do. It stopped a ruthless tyrant from killing his own innocent people. And quite frankly, boots and guns will not quell the problems in the Congo. And pervasive military action in Darfur might well have provoked a massive backlash. So the reality is that often transitions fail, whether they are brought about through a coup, massive protests, international military intervention, or a bloody civil war. Somalia is a prime example of many of those factors. The difference with Libya is that the international community seems to have actually applied the lessons we've learned from Somalia, from Kosovo, from Rwanda. And in the end, the future is as malleable as these past 9 months have been. And no one can definitely say how Libya will emerge and move forward. What is for sure is that diplomacy, rebuilding institutions, and creating a stable domestic foundation are going to be essential in ensuring a forward-thinking evolution for the country. So, let's wait and watch and see what happens. So, if you have anything to say on this topic, or any other for that matter, send us your videos. 5 minutes for video blogs and about 10 minutes for video discussions with you and some friends to video@thepoliticalbouillon.com, and we look forward to hearing from you.